Okay. I am live. Not live here. And I'm live here. Wait a little bit before I start going. Everything came on good for me tonight. It's kind of unusual. I'll wait a couple more minutes and then I'm going to get started. Because I don't know how long it's going to take me to do this. To get it all together. On my little man right here. I have a pattern that I've got what I use for this, and I'm going to, this is what you will be getting, your pieces. They'll be on 2 sheets. I'll send them to Lori, and it has written on them, kind of messy, but I'll redo them, of what you're going to need to be able to do the hat. And the type of double-sided fusible interfacing to use in between the material to give it a little bit of stiffness. The one that I used here, I thought it was the F74. It's like the, or 72. It's a Pellon interfacing, and it has, on both sides, it's kind of grainy, that fuses material. And this one, I don't know, I bought, it said it was the right number and all that, and I had 2 big bats of it in there, and I must have picked up, when I bought it the second time, just didn't feel as stiff as the first stuff I bought, but it was the right number, so don't really know. But when you're cutting it out, the material, this material that I've used, this is from Hobby Lobby, and they do have it here because I bought this when I was in Florida. And you're gonna need to, when you cut this out, the most important thing when you're cutting out the middle part of the hat, this part, is to make sure, and I'll have an arrow on it, that you put it up if it has a pattern. Because this had a pattern, I think I cut it out twice wrong. So that my butterflies were up. You always have to make sure you have the arrow up in the direction of whatever your pattern material is. Otherwise, it doesn't make any difference, you know, if you're using a solid or a, you know, if you're using like a Harlequin, you got to make sure that your, you know, diamonds are going this way when you put down your material. But you're going to cut out 2 of these, 2 of everything, of these 3 pieces, and then 1 of each of the fusible. And when you buy this, it comes with directions telling you about how to use it with your iron. I happen to have a heat press, and I use a heat press with it. And I will also put down on the heat press what I set it at when I do it, because I do it for like 60 seconds, I think, on 385 or something like that. In one moment, I forgot I didn't turn off the clock. We'll have ding, 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 and ding, dingies going on. You know, when you have something in your house, when you have grandfather clocks or anything, and you have that noise, and sometimes once you get used to it, you don't even realize it. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I don't know if doesn't seem like there's anybody in here, but we're gonna go ahead and get started because I'm not sure how long it's gonna take me to do this. I'm going to lower this down, and hi Naomi. As I was saying, I don't know if you were on before, there'll be a pattern, and I'll send it to Lori for you to be able to cut out this. The material I used in this is from Hobby Lobby, and then there's a double-sided fusible interfacing to give it your material the stiffness. And it has two sides, and you iron it, the two pieces of material together. And when they get a cut of this, it will have instructions on how hot to have your iron and all of that. You know, I have the heat press, so I use that. It's just much simpler. But if you have one, I will also, in my supply list, I will make sure that I put in exactly what the temperatures that I used at. Okay, and then when you're putting it together, this is what it ends up, both sides, and the fusibles in the middle of it. And this is the material, which I thought was kind of pretty. And I like the check too. That I liked a lot. I think I'm going to make a bow out of that, a big bow, because I thought that would be pretty for spring. All right, and these will be your pattern pieces. Will be on 2 sheets of paper. The interfacing, everything will be on there, what exactly to use. Now, with mine, because the hardest part is getting this part of this together, and we're going to take the little man and put him over here. I didn't stick him on there, because I wasn't sure if I was going to put the ears on him or not. Let's see if we can keep that on him. He was sitting nicely, because I was going to decorate him up after, and maybe I'll do that for next week. But what I did with this, and I'm going to try it this way, because this is the hardest part, is to get it so you don't have a bunch of glue stuck on it. I took my stapler and I stapled it down here at the end, this end, and then down at this end, and I'm going to run my glue gun around the edge and hold it together. And the temperature that I use on my glue gun, yeah, you'll have it. My supply list will have all the info on there of what you need, and and throughout the video, I'll show you how to put it all together. But it will be self-explanatory on the pattern pieces. So I'm gonna run, and I have my glue gun set at. I turned it down. I don't know. It was acting kind of crazy today, not really wanting to come out. But I got it set between 220 and 265 so that I can run my finger down it and I won't burn my fingers off. So I have it stapled at each end with just a regular old staple. And then I'm going to just run it down. Hold those two pieces together. So you can have, like a firm, the seam won't show very much. And that just depends on what kind of material you're going to be using. If you're going to be using like this pattern, you can use this for actually the thing I made, one of these hats, was a bridal hat. And I'll tell you something, those bridal hats, I had never made one before. I'd never really made a hat before, and Lori requested one, so I got a pattern, made this little pattern up, and looked on Etsy. And let me tell you something. Those hats go for a lot of money. And I'm thinking, you know, but when you're making them, it's like making a, if you've ever sewn before and you make your granddaughters or something a Christmas dress, it's like you making a wedding dress, you know, and it's just this little baby thing. But you can make some money with those. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it down in the inside for most of my glue, so you won't be able to see it. And I'll be honest with you, with this, because you're going to put trim at the top, at the bottom, on it, you don't have to be a perfectionist in that, because your trim is going to hide a lot of the flaws, you know, if there's any flaws, because you're going to make some in the beginning. I mean, this is like my third hat, so I'm not what you would call a professional at it, but I know how to sew, and I know how to make patterns, and I know how to, you know, put things together. So it's more or less easier for me because I know that type of materials to use. But if you're a wreath maker, because originally I was a sewer, my first thing, I sewed professionally for a while, and made a lot of things, and then I did a lot of displays and things. So you're making things with your hands. Now I'm going to take out these two little, so we don't have them in there. But if you get this close enough to the top, you probably could just leave these in if you wanted to. But I'm going to try and get them out. And hopefully they'll come out for me. And then I'll put some glue on that. But see, it just makes it, I know when I was doing the first one today, my glue, I was getting it all over. Where this way, you won't get all that glue on the outside. And then I'll do it on the inside of here. Take it inside, where my little piece is down there, and hold it. And you wipe it off, and it's the temperature of this is where you know, it doesn't burn my fingers, but then again, mine are immune to all of it, I'm sure. If you have delicate hands, you might have an issue. But usually it doesn't. Because I got it at a really low temp because we're working with fabric. Sometimes you gotta heat it up. Let me get this out. Yeah, putting that little staple in there makes it much easier. See, and then the seam on it is much smoother coming down. And actually, and I didn't even plan it, you know, because I'm used to working with patterns and stuff, and you're always supposed to match your patterns and stuff, and I didn't really think about it until after I had it cut. But my colors kind of come together, so that's good. But this will be the back end of it. And this is the top that goes on, and you can kind of fit this around. Then after you get it glued on, you can like trim the edges of it so that it's even better when you make your stuff just to make it a little bit bigger, because you can actually trim it off. I think I'm going to run just another one down here. Now, if you're using like leather or something like that, when you make the, for the Halloween ones, it's the same kind of hat, same type of thing. And if you use the faux leathers, which I've used those, you want to be able, you'll have to have two pieces of material with the faux leathers, but they'll be a lot stiffer, you know, to bend them around. That's the only thing. So let this sit a minute, and then we'll put the top on. And then it just sits on top of this, like that. I'm going to bring that to the back. guess I could probably, I just kind of eyeball it. See, and you're going to have trim around your edges, so you can always just fit it in if it's just, you know, a little bit. Hi, Deb. As I was telling her with these hats, depending on what kind of material you're going to use, you know, and this is just the, I use the cotton material. Got it from Hobby Lobby. And I use a double-sided fusible interfacing that goes in between your, you know, two pieces of material. And the pattern that I'll have, Lori said that she'll be able to put that inside the group, so you'll be able to get that. But this just goes in between, and then you can use it. Normally it's done with an iron. I have the heat press. I use a heat press, but I'll give you the temperatures for that. Well, when you buy this from Joann's and they sell it at Hobby Lobby, there will be instructions on how hot you need to have your stuff for your iron, for it to fuse the two pieces together. And that's what gives it the stiffness, you know, so you can make it pliable. So now we're going to take this and I'm going to run some glue around the edges, because now I've got this pretty good sealed together. And as I said before, this is probably the most difficult part, getting this together where it's not, you know, all gooeyed up with glue. But I took my stapler and I got as close as I could to the edge, and I stapled it at one end and stapled it at the other. Then I ran my little line down the middle of it and put my glue in there. And then after I had it together, I just took the staples out with a pair of dikes. Hi, Brita. And, you know, the seam's pretty good. The one I made earlier today is a little gooed up. And then I thought, there's got to be an easier way. So I find this is easiest for me. But like with, because this, it comes, it's F72. I thought it was F74, but it's F72 double fusible. And this one, I bought two different sets of this, and one of them, the first set I got, was really stiff, really great. And this was the same, said it was the same thing, but it just seems, I don't know. I should have took it back, because I think they had, somehow it was mismarked or something, because it wasn't as stiff as my first stuff. So that's the material part of it. So now we're going to put the top on. And as I said, you know, like I've got on the edge here, there's a little bit of interfacing hanging off. Not a big deal. On the edges here, it's not going to be a big deal. Once we get this all on here, this top, on top of here, we'll be able to, because you're going to be putting a trim around here, you can camouflage a lot of any of the flaws that you make. You know, I myself, they say I'm a perfectionist. I'm not really. I like things to go together. I like things to be simple. And I like to have a little moving room, you know, so if I have a problem, I always like to make a little moving room, so when things go together, if it's not just perfect, I can kind of fix it with something else. So let's get this glued on here. So if you get a little bit of glue down the side of it, it's not going to be that big of a deal, because you're going to have trim on it. And you're just going to try to fit this on here where it's good. And I've got my heat gun set where it doesn't burn me. You know, it's like not at it's in between 220, 265, and that I can still touch it, but then again, my hands are beat up from doing so many different things and, you know, me gluing everything up. So my hands are probably a little bit raggedy. But you can get those little fingers that they have and use those, you know, just to wipe it along. But you really do need the glue gun, and I would recommend with that the ones that, any glue gun where you can have the tips on it, so you don't get so much glue on there. That's this is one that I find the best. It's a Sure Bonder, and it comes, the only bad thing about it, and I shouldn't say this because, knock on wood, when I first got it, you have to buy the tips, and they come in a set, and there's only one of those, and every time I turned around, I was bending the tip off there, and I said, my God, I've spent like 50, and they're like $12, and you get all these different tips, but I only use a certain one, and the skinniest, and it seemed like I was buying tips continuously. I'm going to rub that off. Seeing it you just kind of fit it around. And if I have like a lot of glue, and then once I get it, you know, pretty well in here, then I can trim it. I can trim the glue around the edges. So there's a little bit of leeway on hooking it together. And even if when you're cutting it out, if you make the pattern a little bit, well, the only piece you don't want to make a lot bigger is this piece right here. But like this piece or this piece, once you get this on, then you can just, you know, go around and trim it out. I did it where I'm going to take it and just run it right down the edge here, because I'm going to be putting on a pliable, that's another thing, is you need a pliable trim. Something that can bend and move. Because if you don't, you're gonna, you know, you'll have a hard time. That I will tell you. I'm just taking this edge, running it down, because you're going to have another set of glue on there once you start to trim on it. And maybe there's an easier way, I don't know. I'm not a professional hat maker. Because I watched a couple of videos on it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot involved here when they're making them with leather and stuff. I was like, oh, goodness gracious. That's a whole nother ballgame. Then I'm going to just take my glue gun and stick it down there and get a little bit around there where I think it needs it. Then you can just go around the edges and just cut off anything you think is hanging off. And that includes glue too. Now I'm just cutting it down just around the edge, because I made mine like custom to fit just about. See, and now I should have brought my steamer out, and I forgot, and it's in my bedroom. Because you can shape it a little bit. If you have like a flower steamer or anything like that, any type of steamer, it will, you can steam it around. Then I just set it down and I look, you know, where it goes in the middle. I want this seam to be in the back, regardless. And this is not perfectly round. You know, you can see by that. This is not perfect. This is rounder. This is not. It's a little bit oblong, because that's how a hat would fit. And if you want to get technical, you can measure on the sides. So I got this about 1.5 here. Let's choosy that way. Let's see. Let's come forward. Just about 1.5 all the way around. the front and back, it's going to be a little bit more. So let's go with 2. With the checks, it's even better yet because you can just measure it by the checks. So let's put some glue around the edges here. This temperature could actually be up a little bit higher. It's coming out a little gooey. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now let's get this cured. And once again, down here where you're applying this glue, it's okay because you're going to have trim around here. So you're not going to see anything. It'll be covered up. I mean, you could even put, after I already had put the trim on, I thought, what was I thinking? I should have put a band on there first. And I'm just going to take my finger and wipe it. And there we got it. Stuck on there pretty good. Now, if you're going to put this like on a head, I didn't cut this one out, but you can see in through here, all you have to do is, you can feel it and just, you know, round it out with, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them on top of something or if I'm just going to put them in a wreath, you know, like a little attachment. I'm not real sure how I'm doing that. So you can feel it. All you have to do is do the round circle, take your little knifey do there, and then just punch it in, cut some holes out, and then you can cut the hole out. So then it would sit flatter on top of a head if you're putting it on top of something like that. I'm not really sure which way I'm going with it. So I just left mine where I have the option. Now, I'm going to use this trim here. I really would have preferred to have a contrasting trim, but this is what I had at home and I was too lazy to go out. So I'm going to start in the back. And always make sure that you got your trim going the right way, because I put it on and then all of a sudden I notice it's not going the right way. And this one, because I wasn't sure if I have enough trim, because I only had 2 of these. Really, I only had like one was already cut. I'm going to put it around the edges of this. Then I'm going to put it around the top part. So then it will cover up anything that's up on top. Just run your glue gun down there. Make sure you got your edge, you know, your trim up at the edge. And that's the amounts of part. If you try to use like something that you couldn't bend, you'll have a very difficult time as far as trim goes. You got to make sure it's got to be a pliable trim that can bend and go around the curves, or otherwise it will not lay right. Just make sure you have it close to your edge. And I ordered these little resin coffee cups things, and they didn't come in. I'm very disappointed. For to put on, you know, to glue on the hat. They're really cute. And if I get those in, I will add that to my list of where I got them from, because I ordered them off of Etsy. And I'm just going to cut it off right here and then glue it in. Make sure that you know, this has the pearls come undone, so you want to make sure that that it fits into the pattern. Then I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to put it over on top of it, because I've got a little bit of around the edges. You can see a little bit of the interfacing. Just fit it in there. See, so if you have any little booby doobs up here, you're not going to see it. And this just bends right around on top. So what have you guys been up to? Nobody's talking tonight? I was in Florida. I drove my two older sisters down for, and I was down there 2 weeks with them. And I'm going to leave on the 26th and go back to pick them up. That was a trip, let me tell you. I mean, they're older, but we're similar, you know, we're only a few years apart, but oh my gosh. I've never laughed so hard in my life. I thought for sure that I probably would be throwing a couple of them out on the expressway. I'm thinking, we haven't been together on a trip like that in a very long time. I'm thinking, yeah, this ought to be fun. But we had a lot of laughs. And the weather was not very warm. I think it got warm. I think it got up to 75 the day before I left, or I think I had like 2 days in the 70s. But it wasn't, you know, it was a lot more. I live in Michigan, so I mean, it was a lot warmer than here. Then I came home, we would have snow. So see, your little trim, top and bottom, and it will cover up all your edges. And then I'm going to cut it off right here again. And see, you don't see nothing. Covers up all your little, any imperfections. Then I'm going to take it, we're going to run it down the middle, around the bottom of the, well, wait a minute. Let's see how this will go. That's what I was thinking after. You could, I don't have anything smaller than this, and this is what I put in the bow. I thought I had the darker blue, and this I got from, I'm sure I got this from Lori when she had her shop. But I know you can get it from, let me see. I like that. I wish I could put it down where I got lace on both sides, but I don't think it'll do it. Let's see. Where it will lay flat. Then I could run the pink down the middle. No, it won't. Well, it probably could if I, let's see, cut this on the bottom, so we'll open it up a little bit, just at the lacy part. Let's see how that goes. Well, we'll do this one a little bit different. We'll put this on the bottom. And what I'm doing, this has the lace on the sides, and I'm just going to cut it up to where the polka dots is at, right on the edge. So then when I run this around, it won't gather up and not lay flat. And then I'll run the pearl down the middle of it. Give it a little bit of pizzazz. Yeah, that's cute. Okay, I like that. So then if you mess up, you can get something bigger to cover it up. Alrighty. So I got the lace there. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to run this down the middle of it. Like that. Oh yeah, that looks pretty. And if you find that it's not laying, you know, you can go all the way up to where there's an edge on this so it'll slip down better. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here to make that lay down nice and smoothly. And then I'm going to start my pearls down the middle. You don't really have to run it all the way, you know, directly. going to cut it off in the back. And make sure. Try not to try to cut the pearl there, but that's okay. Just glue it right down, right on top of it, and you won't see nothing. So let's make sure we got this going the right way. And then we're gonna come back here and start on this. I guess I could trim some of this off. This is the interfacing that's like hanging off a little bit. You know, you make these circles and everything, and I'm going to tell you something. It's all there. You're cutting it. And I'm always got it a little bit wonky. Just a little bit. So now, I'm going to come in the back and I'm going to start this. See, I know this, I don't know, back here. And this is easier because all you got to do is run it on top of here. Just fit it to it and make sure you don't glue it to the table, which I did today. And this trim, this one, I got this at Hobby Lobby, pretty sure. Yeah, it's Hobby Lobby's. But you know what? They might have something cuter. I just didn't feel like going out today to see. And it did make me go through, and I had lots of trim. And I had to clean it out because from Christmas and everything, I usually have it like color coordinated, so it's easier for me to find things. I'll know that I buy stuff, you know, and then it's like, I can't find it. All right, yeah, I'm still looking for a couple of things I can't find. And I cleaned that out. I put all the colors where they should be. And this is the closest I could get to what we're making tonight. I had some really cute check one, but I would have never got it around here without it getting all. I guess I could have steamed it on, but once again, I'm not a professional hat maker. As I always would say when I was making things, this is all just an illusion. We're making illusions. Cut it out, then glue it on top. Then I'm going to put it underneath. I didn't do it on that one because I wasn't sure if I'd have enough material to do this one, to show you the right way. And that just covers the edge of it, you know, so anything that you might have done wrong, it's going to be covered up. So let's go to the back, start over here. Yeah, I wish I would have, you know, I didn't even take any pictures of, I'm really bad. When I make custom things for people, I always forget to take the picture of it because some of the stuff is unique. That thing I made for Lori was really cute. I'll have to see if she can find it after moving everything. Probably not, but that was done with lace and pearls and those hanging netty things in the front. That was a production. And now when I, see, so then you have, wait a minute, gotta get this closer. And when you're using your temperature on your, when you can regulate your temperature, and you have it on the lighter, it's easier to pull off if you've made a mistake. I want it closer to the edge. Yeah. I'm just pushing it right up to the edge so it kind of meets where the trim is on top. So you probably, I would recommend you using, because I did use some of this, you'll need a whole roll of this, if this is what you're going to use. It's 3 yards, so I'd recommend you getting, and it's whatever you're going to use, make sure you got at least 3 yards. And we're going to cut it off right here. See if I can get it where I don't have to chop up the pearl. And then put your glue down and just kind of fit it in, because the pearl does come, it's not going to come loose because it's on a string, but you want to fit it in there. Oh, I do like that better with the little, with that trim on there. It looks really cute. Let's get some of this glue. Off. Just, I'm gonna see if that, nope, that's down. See now, when I chopped the ears off these bunnies, you know, and this came from Hobby Lobby, my wall. I'm glad I bought it because I haven't been to Hobby Lobby, but Walmart, my Walmart, they're really late with their, I don't know if they don't realize it, if they didn't realize that Easter is going to be early this year or not, because they had very little Easter stuff out. I stopped by there last night because I was going to get another, thinking they'd have a bunny. This came from Hobby Lobby. And I don't know if my Hobby Lobby, I'm in Michigan, so I don't know if they didn't, this came from Florida. And I chopped off the ears, and I just took my scissors and hacked it off. And there's like a little, wasn't really a wire, I don't know what it was, stuck in the ear. And you know, get it almost off and then clip it off. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this for Easter, and that's one of the reasons I didn't even think about rolling it, because if you roll it up, you're not going to be able to. But you can see that this one goes this way because it doesn't have any of the stuff on there. If you're going to make one and make it for Easter, I cut it off like at a little bit of a slant, and all you have to do is glue this on there. I think you can glue it on, and I don't think that it will, I think the hot glue is good enough for it. I don't think you need to secure it anymore, and if you do, I would suggest using a little bit of stick fast. The stuff I use this on almost all the stuff that I make, and I never have to worry about anything coming undone, nothing. The stuff, one thing you do not want to do is get it stuck on your fingers, because it's a booger to get off. And it comes out kind of syrupy, so you can, just try and use a little bit. But you can do this for Easter. I would just center this. I'm there, so I would center this like this, and they would end up looking like this. And I put some butterflies on mine, which I'm going to glue on the other one. And you can put the ears right on here, you know, for if you're going to use for Easter. I think because I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for. I don't know. But I'll make it for Easter because it's kind of late. So I'll leave these off. But that you can make with the little things there. Now, I got these butterfly. I really like this one here. This is like my favorite one. And I bought these. These came off of Amazon. I bought them last year. And I bought like 3 different colors. The blues, the purples. And they come in all different sizes. And I'll make sure I leave you the link for these in there. And I really like this one for this because it's like the perfect color. It's a little bit bigger than what I wanted, but, and you can see it has a little thing here. And we're going to put some glue on it. And then I'm gonna stick it on here. Let me see. And I'm really just sticking it on the trim. I would have liked for this to be smaller. I must have used them last year. But when you buy them, there's quite a few in there, but they'll be like, I don't think, I'm trying to think. I think I bought a set of the blue and then I bought a set of the pinks. But they come in a bunch of different sizes. And maybe I got a couple of pinks, because there's quite a few in here. This is not the bag that came in. This is from my granddaughter's bought some stuff on Amazon. I thought, oh my God, she had all these little tops because she was going away. And I'm like, well, you know what? This came with it. I don't know. It's not sticky, though. Those would be perfect for my stuff. So, and then I'm going to use this blue one for down below. And they come flat. All you got to do is just stick up the wings. And we're going to put a little bit of glue on there. And we'll set this one over here. And that's how it looks. Mr. Bunny Man. See, so if you want to curl the sides up, you know, if you're not going to put the ears on it and you want to curl up your sides, all you have to do, well, I'll tell you what I used. I used these pins, the floral pins, but I don't know what I was thinking. I keep forgetting to order them. T-pins. They're T-pins for sewing. And I know you can get them on Amazon, and they are wonderful. Because these things, sometimes trying to get them to go through stuff, and especially going through material, because that's what I've used them for, you almost have to kill yourself to get them through. But these T-pins are perfect, and they're sharp. And what I did, all I did was I put it in there overnight so that it would have more of a curl. And I think, I think I used pearl ones for it. That I was the one I sent with Lori, because I use the pearls in it to hook the netting to make the, you know, long thing down it. And if anybody is interested, I'm not ingenious. Hi, Miss Dawn, my buddy. I'm not ingenious. I just think about things. My problem is I like to make things. I love making things with my hands. The whole thing about me, which was really bad with this type of doing this kind of stuff, once I make it once, I don't want to make it no more. And when I have, you know, you want to be able to make something over and over again for people to buy it, right? And it just bores the shit out of me. Because it's like, I'm all about seeing if I can do it, you know? And then once I do it, it's like, okay, let's go on to something else. But, the T-pens, and I will look those up on Amazon for you so that you will be able to, that's for anything like that. Those are the best. These things, yeah, they're great with floral, but they're really hard to get in. And when you're working with material or any, you know, like a double thing, I try to put a T-pen through this do these bows and all that, and I thought, my God, I'm going to split the thing in half before. I thought, I need a hammer, you know. And then, because they're longer, and I don't even think they come with different sizes, you know, the lengths of them. You want it to be longer so it really anchors something in. You cut them off, and then you're really in trouble, because it's like, really, you need a hammer to get that thing in. But this is our project tonight. Oh my God, I don't even believe I did this really quick. I thought it was going to take me forever, because I haven't done very many of them. But let's see if my thing wants to work. I am so happy. All my equipment worked tonight. I didn't have any problems with anything, which usually every time I go live, either my internet goes out and I got to go reset everything, or something doesn't come on, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I had to get a new iPad, and I kept thinking, oh, God knows, you know, when you're dealing with Facebook, you know how Facebook is, doesn't like anything different. But yes, if you want to roll your sides and make this, you know, where it comes up like that, I would suggest, if you don't have a steamer or whatever, you don't need to go buy one, just get some pins, even straight pins, and stick it in the sides overnight, and then you'll get a really nice curl on this. But those T-pins are the berries, and I don't know why I haven't thought of them till today when I was doing it. I'm like, oh my God, where's your brain at, Debbie? T-pins, because they'll go through anything. But this is our project. I will have everything for you guys, and I will look through and make sure I have every the links for this stuff, because and the pattern. I'll make sure you get the pattern. You can use this for any this pattern. You can make the little wedding hats, you know. And I'm telling you, if you go on Etsy and you check those out, you'll be like amazed what they get for them. And you can use these for Halloween, to make a Halloween hat. The pattern will go with any season. But there you are, and I'm really glad you guys came and visited with me tonight. And if you have any questions, feel free to, you know, leave me a message, and I will answer any questions that you have. Or if you decide to make one, you need a little bit of help, I will just contact me. I'll help you out. And thank you for stopping by. And I'll see y'all later.